All right, go ahead.
Okay. Hey, it's the Fantasy Frenzy Podcast Championship Edition, baby. It's Swami Rob, and I got my buddy Jimmie Maverick on the other end. I assume you're in a championship, right?
Well, remember what I said last week, how I thought I had been eliminated from all my playoff contentions?
Yes.
Well, actually, it turns out that in one of my leagues, the playoffs didn't start until week 15. So I, in fact, am still in the playoffs, and I did win my game last week. But it's weird. That one goes to week 17 for the championship game. So, but I'm in it. I'm in it for this week, and I got a tough matchup though.
Yeah,
I'm the underdog on the projections, but I'm feeling pretty good. Last week, man, my team was the highest scoring team in the league. So I'm
nice.
Like, okay. This team has just been so all over the place with its players. I'm just hoping I get the good players this week again.
I've played in leagues that have week 17 as the championship, and that's cruel and unusual. And let me tell you why. Because a lot of teams have already sewn up their seeding, and so they rest guys. And I remember maybe it was 3 years ago, and I needed 21 points out of Zeke Elliott. He had 15 at halftime. And then they kept saying the entire halftime show, yeah, they're going to rest Zeke the second half, and I was screaming at my TV. Then luckily they brought him in on the opening drive of the second half. He caught a screen, ran for a touchdown. That's all I needed. But the same thing happened with Michael Turner 10 years ago, and they rested him the entire second half, and I lost the championship by like 3 points.
Yeah. So that's obviously the biggest risk for anybody that's playing in the championship game is those teams that have really locked things down. And it seems like, probably the Ravens are there.
Yep.
But everyone else is still pretty much in flux. I mean, shoot, the NFC West, when you got Seattle and San Francisco and the Rams all vying, there's a lot going on there, and no one else is really fully locked up their position. I guess the Pats have also, for the most part, but it's pretty good that there's no super runaway team this year, and you should feel pretty good about starting anybody on these teams at least this week. But next week is probably going to be a totally different.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Well, in my championship game, this team that I'm starting has been pretty solid all year, but the team I'm playing, I'm playing the Green Bay Packers, basically. Rodgers, Jones, Devontae Adams. They're starting almost all Green Bay guys. So I'm thinking, all right, they're at Minnesota. Maybe I have a chance this week. Who knows? But she's also got Derrick Henry. Yeah, and I said she. This girl's a good fantasy player.
Okay.
Yeah, I got Derrick Henry. She's got Mike Thomas. She's got Austin Hooper. And she's got the KC defense. Meanwhile, I've got Russell Wilson, Nick Chubb, Alvin Kamara. And then I've got Galladay and Metcalf at receiver, but I still have the option to put Thielen or Fuller in there at this point, which I may do. And I started Kenyan Drake at my flex last week. He got me 43 points. So
yeah, I know. I had Drake also in that game.
Yeah. So I wouldn't say my chances are nothing, but her team is pretty dang good.
It sounds good, but man, you got to realize that huge rivalry game. Minnesota and Green Bay are vying for the their division championship.
Right.
So, and it's an away game for Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers has not been that good against super tough competition. I don't know. I'm feeling good for you, man. I think you might be able to pull this off. I'll be rooting for you for sure.
It wouldn't surprise me, man. It wouldn't surprise me because this team is kind of outperforming expectations all year. Now we're going to talk about MVPs from all the fantasy players, and we're also going to talk about duds. So if you want to start with MVPs, I'm going to throw a couple out from the team that I'm playing in the championship game this weekend.
Okay.
All right. I would have to say Russell Wilson has been money for me all year long.
He's Jimmie Garoppolo super good first half of the year, but the past few weeks he hasn't been as good. I was looking, like the past 4 weeks or so, he has not done as much as he was doing in the first half of the season. So that leaves me some concern for what might happen this week with him. But I think you're still good to roll with him this week.
And again, my rule, dance with the one who brung you. So even though I've got Garoppolo sitting on the bench, I can't bail out on Russell. Now, another guy that I've been really happy with this whole year long. Now, he hasn't blown up for any 40-point games or anything like that. Maybe there was one. But Nick Chubb has been consistently good for me all season long.
Yeah, Chubb, and I think it's also good that he's continued to receive solid usage even after Kareem Hunt entered the picture.
Yeah.
Obviously Chubb's biggest weakness is he has no involvement in the passing game. But yeah, again, Chubb is also on that team. that team of mine that's still in the playoffs as well. I played Chubb as well, and man, he was great last week. Did super good for you. So
yeah, he's been good.
we can only hope that continues. Although Cleveland is playing Baltimore, so that is going to be tough.
Yeah, and the Ravens defense is kind of looking like the Ravens defenses we've come to know historically too. They're getting tough. And then another guy on this team that's been a chronic underperformer for me all year and was a first-round draft pick is Kamara. He hasn't really done anything this year. It's been really disappointing.
It is a shock that he's only had 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
I mean, that is ridiculous. And they say in fantasy that the touchdowns are absolutely the hardest thing to project on any sort of week-to-week basis or anything like that. And so you got to think that next season there will be a massive positive reversion in his touchdown totals as compared to his first 2 seasons. I mean, it's
but I got that taste in my mouth now. If he's sitting on the board, I'm going to pass him up because he did me wrong this year, Well,
I don't know, man. I mean, if he's sitting there in the second round, that is a really hard player to not choose if you're in the second round of your draft next season and he's still available. And also something else to consider is that next year is going to be a contract year for Alvin Kamara. So, I think the future looks bright for him, but yeah, this year has just been very disappointing for someone that did so much in his first 2 seasons.
Yeah. But on the other hand, if you've got Mike Thomas, we know who's been getting all the touchdowns, don't you?
Unbelievable, man.
I know.
Unbelievable. So for my MVP list, man, first of all, for quarterbacks, I got to go Lamar Jackson. I mean, talk about a fantasy superstar. I mean, he has so far exceeded what I ever thought he would do. And, I took him in 2 of my leagues and dude, I mean, last week, 40 points. I mean, unbelievable performance week after week. And his touchdown efficiency is off the charts. I just can't believe that the dude's throwing 30 touchdowns on 225 passing attempts. I mean, just unbelievable efficiency. And the next closest player is Jameis Winston, who has 29 touchdowns, but he's throwing the ball 550 times this season.
Well, and about 549 of those have been interceptions.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, just a absolutely amazing performance. I put a post on my social media this week about is Lamar Jackson going to be a first-round pick next season? And I can see him borderline 1-2 right on the turn there for players just because of what he did this year.
Yeah.
But I see a serious reversion in his numbers for next season just because of this unbelievable efficiency he's had. I mean, last week, he threw the ball 23 times, I think, and he got 4 touchdowns. I mean, that's just crazy.
I know.
It doesn't happen in normal football, and he's playing at another level right now. But I just don't see him being able to replicate that next season. Once everybody has a full year, they got to figure out what you need to do to stop Lamar Jackson.
I wouldn't sleep on that guy for 1 second. I kind of figured Mahomes might go a little bit backwards this year. I think Lamar Jackson, as long as he's healthy, he's going to own the league for years to come.
Yeah, I mean, isn't it great, when you see, I remember 5 years ago, I was talking about, man, there's no good quarterbacks coming into this league. And now in the past 2 years, we've gotten Mahomes and Jackson and just, wow, holy cow.
Well, and Deshaun Watson for that matter. Yeah, Deshaun Watson's looked great. You've had, Wentz and Goff were okay. I don't know if this has been the best year for them, but they both, looked pretty good last year and the year before. And so, you've had, and, even Dak Prescott has, he's turned to be a pretty decent quarterback. I really wasn't sure with him,
Yeah, and it's, and all these guys are going to be in the league for the next decade. It's
right.
Super exciting, to think about the possibilities with these guys. But yeah, I mean, as far as Lamar Jackson, man, just unbelievable this year. Also last week, he set the league record for most rushing yards by a quarterback in a single season, and he still has 2 games to go. I mean, just amazing. I also want to throw out, Dak Prescott, Jameis Winston, and Ryan Tannehill as 3 other honorable mentions to the MVP prize for quarterbacks, man. I mean, they have all just done amazing. And one other thing I want to mention with all these guys is that look at how easy it would have been to be able to get any of these guys in your draft. I mean, Dak Prescott was 12th or 13th quarterback coming off the board. Lamar Jackson was 9th or 10th. Jameis Winston was like 15th or 16th quarterback, and Ryan Tannehill wasn't even drafted, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't have touched him either.
The season.
I wouldn't have touched him at all.
Yeah, and they've all turned into these amazing superstars for fantasy football, and just an impressive lot among all of them. So
yeah.
So kudos to them. And also just wanted to also mention here, both Dak Prescott and Jameis Winston in their contract years. I love contract year players, man. That's the reason why I love them.
Yeah, good pick too. And then as far as duds go, though, I could give you a bunch based on injury.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
Stafford, Roethlisberger. I mean, those are two guys that you can count on numbers from. I had them both, and they both end up on IR. And my season went away with it too. Trust me.
Yeah. And then you got guys like Rivers, who has just fallen to pieces this year. But that you got to expect. I mean, we're kind of a little spoiled, right? Because we got both Tom Brady and Drew Brees in the league in their 40s, and they're both doing well. I mean, Brady hasn't had a great season, but Drew Brees is playing out of his brain right now. But, usually the late 30s, 37, 36, 37, that's usually when most quarterbacks hit the wall. And, that's where Roethlisberger is. That's where Rivers is. And, boy, I just don't think you can trust those guys going forward to next season.
It's kind of funny how the class of 2003 all went to crap on a dime. Roethlisberger, Rivers, and Eli. I mean, they had great careers, but it seems like they all kind of came to a skidding halt this year, didn't it?
It's father time, man. He takes no prisoners, man.
Yep. Here's just an example of, as a Cowboy fan, in 2003, or maybe it was 4. I'm trying to remember now, when the Giants were drafting, or actually it was the Chargers who drafted Eli, and then they trade him, and the Chargers grab Rivers, and then Roethlisberger goes to Pittsburgh at 10. The Cowboys were drafting Julius Jones at running back then. That seems like 20 running backs ago for the Cowboys, and these guys are still around playing quarterback,
Right. Yeah. I mean, the longevity of these guys, certainly on the team, I think probably besides the kicker, the quarterback has the most longevity because they have the most protection against getting hit.
Yeah, right.
So they have a tendency to last longer. But yeah, it's been, just great year for quarterbacks. Just love that. How about running backs, man? My MVP for running back, I mean, it's an easy choice, man. Christian McCaffrey.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the guy's been amazing. And I think what's most amazing about Christian McCaffrey is it doesn't matter if Carolina has a great game or a terrible game. The dude produces. I mean, he gets 20 points when Carolina only scored 7 points. He gets blown out by somebody. I'm like, I don't even know how he does it. And they're saying that he's only like 168 yards away from being one of only 3 running backs to go over 1,000 yards rushing and 1,000 yards receiving in a single season. So he's right there, and he can totally get 168 yards in the next 2 games.
Oh, yeah, easy. Unless he gets hurt, and I hate to see that happen.
Yeah, that's just a historic season for him. So kudos to Christian McCaffrey, man. Amazing. And I wish I had taken him. I didn't take him in any of my leagues. I didn't get him.
I would have if he was there, but he wasn't. So
yeah. And I remember somebody in one of my leagues, I picked second, and the guy that picked first took Christian McCaffrey. And I was like, that's dumb. You should have taken Saquon. But no, he definitely got the better of that.
Well, boy, when you're talking about duds, Saquon hasn't really come out. He came up big a couple weeks ago. But yeah, for the most part, he's disappeared.
Saquon's been dealing with that ankle injury,
right.
And so, that's kind of held him back. And plus the whole Giants offense is just kind of a mess. So
it's a mess.
I think it'll be better next year for Saquon. And I think he's probably going to be maybe the 4th or 5th running back taken off the board. So he offers some nice value there for people that are picking in the middle rounds, that might be able to get him. So,
one guy I ran smack into twice in the 2 leagues I'm in the first 10 games that just ate me for lunch. Now, I think he may have dropped off a little since that was Dalvin Cook. What a year he had, too. He was killing me for a while there. Yeah.
Amazing. And a lot of people could have gotten him in the 2nd round. I mean, that is just huge, tremendous value. And I did not take him in any of my leagues because I was concerned about the injury risk. But on every other one of my metrics, man, he was at the top of the list. And so I gotta go for that more. If I see someone who's like just charting out at the top of all my different rankings, but he has some durability issues, I think I'm gonna have to I'm just gonna roll the dice for him because the upside is just so tremendous.
Right.
A player like that. So yeah, he's one of my honorable mentions. Also, Derrick Henry, man, what a great player he was this year. It's just amazing. And Austin Eckler is another one who I threw on there that because of the holdout of Melvin Gordon, he took the lead reins, and then even when Melvin Gordon came back, he still is the lead back in that field, and he has produced week after week. Just very impressive on all those guys.
But as far as duds go, I'm trying to figure out a few because Kamara, I don't think anybody's ranks higher on the list than Kamara does. But I'm looking around the league and seeing some names that are still hanging around, like your Frank Gores and guys like that. I'm thinking, how have they not found a replacement for those guys yet? But they haven't. It's hard to get guys,
Yeah, and I think the biggest story this year is just these ancient running backs that still are producing. Carlos Hyde, Adrian Peterson, LaShawn McCoy. They're up and down, but man, they're still productive. And that's impressive at their ages, because these guys are all over age 28, which is usually a drop dead date for me. So kudos to those guys. As far as duds go, man, I'd have to say Le'Veon Bell.
Yes.
Huge dud.
Yep.
David Johnson. Oh,
man, I had that guy. Yeah,
I
sucked.
took him in three leagues, and he was great for like the first 6 weeks, just fantastic player. And then he just stopped. It's just that's it. He's done.
Well, when I was drafted in one of my leagues, when it came time for my first round draft pick, I decided I'm going running back in this league, and I'm watching the chart drain, and David Johnson is my top option. And when I clicked select, I knew right then and there, that sucks. I already hate this team because I didn't want him, but the choices less than him weren't that good, and all the ones I wanted were gone.
Yeah. I mean, I took him a bunch in the middle rounds, where I was picking 7th or 8th, and yeah, you're right. I mean, it was just like he was the best option available. And then some of those leagues I took Mixon with my second pick, and Mixon was like terrible for like the first half of the season. But man, Mixon has come back strong.
Nice rebound.
In the second half. Has
absolutely
been excellent in the second half of this season, despite the fact that he's on a 1-13 team. But has certainly, revived himself, and hopefully, they're saying that Cincinnati is pretty much going to get the first pick in the draft. So they take a quarterback. They're going to take that LSU. I don't even know the name of the LSU quarterback that won the Heisman. I think they're going to probably take him, and future looks bright for Mixon for next season. I kind of like that. Staying with him on a pick. So
absolutely. As far as receiver MVPs go, I was really happy to get the likes of Adam Thielen and Will Fuller on both teams I have, but those hamstring injuries, which happened almost exact same time for both of them, really screwed me. But, this is where my waiver wire raids went huge for me. I picked up dudes like Kenny Golladay and Cole Beasley and Danny Amendola and Robbie Anderson, and those guys all did a pretty damn good job for me. I got to say, I mean, that was not stellar, but it definitely filled the gap nice.
Yeah, when you look at like the top 10 wide receivers this year, it has just been a minefield of dud performances. I mean, at the very top, you got Michael Thomas, who was my MVP. Just amazing. I was projecting that he was going to be a huge regression candidate because, New Orleans doesn't throw the ball that much. You got a quarterback over age 40, and he had like an 85% catch percentage last year, reception percentage. All these numbers, I'm like, he's going to regress on all these things. And no, he's done even better this year. 1,500 yards, man.
That's what you get when you pay $100 million, right? Yeah, seriously. It's finally somebody who got paid and then performed better rather than performing to get paid,
Right. And when you look at the top 10 wide receivers, it's him. Julio's done very well. And DeAndre Hopkins has been good, although he started very slow. But the rest is just utter destruction. I mean, leading with Antonio Brown, not even, playing one game this year and being ousted out of the league. But, you've got Juju Smith-Schuster. You got Devontae Adams, who's been good lately, but missed like the first half of the season.
Hurt.
You've got Adam Thielen. You've got who are some of the other? I mean, just every single just bust, and just incredibly tough on wide receivers this year. So
I knew that was going to happen with Schuster, and let me tell you why. I even knew that was going to happen before Roethlisberger got hurt. because I was thinking to myself, you go back in Steelers history and you look at the likes of Plaxico Burress, Antonio Holmes, Mike Wallace, Antonio Brown, and there's probably several that I'm missing. They've had the best luck at wide receiver. When one guy goes away, they plug in another that's a stud. I said, man, their luck's bound to run out. They're due. And I just felt like that was going to happen, you know?
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely what happened there. I ended up taking Juju in one of my leagues. And, again, just hamstrung my team, and I ended up missing the playoffs in that league just because of that. But some of my other honorable mentions, though, for MVP, Chris Godwin, who has been unbelievable.
By the way, should I start him this week? Because I have him on my bench. Should I put him in instead of Galladay or somebody?
If he is good to go if he's cleared to play, yeah. I mean, you got to.
Because he did pretty well last week.
With Jameis Winston, man. Yeah. And just the unbelievable usage. No Mike Evans. I mean, yeah. I think you have to for the championship.
Yeah.
But also Julian Edelman, who is just a total shock for me as being such a top-tier receiver. I mean, this is a 34-year-old receiver that's having balls thrown to him by a 43-year-old quarterback.
Well, he's all they got. They have to throw to him because everybody else he has to throw to, he doesn't know what he's getting, so he's going to go to Edelman every time.
That's true, but the volume to Edelman and the fact that Edelman's been able to stay healthy and play every game this season, that doesn't happen that much.
Right.
Amazing. And then Julio Jones is another MVP for me, just on his performance this season.
Yeah.
All those guys, outstanding. Geez, just an amazing year. So,
as far as with the flex position this year, if you've got that in your league, there's been 3 guys that I've kind of rotated in and out of the flex in one league. And when they put them in that flex position, they've done pretty damn well for me. The first one was Sony Michel, who hasn't been great, but he hasn't sucked. I've put Phillip Lindsay in that spot a couple of times, and he did real well. And Drake, the 2 times I put him in there, he killed it, man. So, I mean, I've been real lucky there. But it's not receivers, and I normally flex receivers, but I've been using running backs now. It's been working out better.
Yeah, well, it all depends on how your league is set up. Is your league a PPR or a standard points league?
It's a PPR league, yeah.
Oh, that's surprising. Well,
I know.
But, Drake's a pass catcher. Lindsey's a pass catcher.
Yep.
Sony Michel, not at all. But yeah, I mean, those are perfectly good choices to put in your flex, and I'm glad they paid off for you, man. That's great.
Now the most problematic position on my roster, and I bet everybody else's, but that goddamn tight end position is the worst, man. Everybody I put in there has a great week and gets hurt. Has great, like 4 in a row I had like that.
I had a tough time coming up with an MVP for this position just because even the elite guys, right? Even Kelsey, Kittle, and Ertz have had their problems this year, most notably with their complete lack of touchdowns,
right?
As compared to last season when they were just tearing it up. I did finally put in Kelsey as my MVP because he's been playing very well lately, getting a really high volume of passes. He went over 1,000 yards for the 4th season. He's the first tight end in NFL history to do that. So MVP for me has to go to Travis Kelce.
Yeah, I get that. I'll tell you who. There was one guy that I had for about 3 weeks, and I was so bummed when he got hurt, was Disley with Seattle. Now, the guy they've gotten as a replacement wasn't bad, but I landed a couple of guys that just kind of popped up out of nowhere, and I got them off the waivers, and I thought, oh, score, and then they were hurt. And then I did it again. After a while, man, now I'm rotating. Well, actually, Kyle Rudolph has been the only guy I can count on. I'm getting 9 or 10 points out of him. But I've got guys like Vance McDonald on my bench in case something happens to him, and they're not going to get me a damn point,
Yeah, I mean, McDonald hasn't done anything, and once again, the tight end position is just littered. It's just carnage, man. I mean, there's just guys can't stay healthy, and the guys that are available, there's like maybe 5 guys you can count on each week in the tight end position. So that shows you how important it is to maybe go early on your draft and grab one of these elite guys.
Yeah.
But as far as my other honorable mentions, I think I got to say Darren Waller has been amazing this year. He also has gone over 1,000 yards receiving, and he was virtually undrafted. I mean, you could have got him at the very end of your draft. George Kittle has been great. I love George Kittle. He's like my favorite player in the NFL right now, and he's going to be a top choice of mine in future drafts for sure. And then Austin Hooper, before his ankle injury, was killing it. Again, another contract year player.
Yeah.
Killing it. He was just destroying it until like week 12 when he hurt that ankle, and he's come back now, but he hasn't done much the past 2 weeks, which is distressing because he's an immense talent as well. I'd love to see more of him. So
I'll tell you who I'm crowning as my MVP for defense/special teams.
Okay.
Because I've got their defense in both my leagues, and they have killed it for me all season long. And ladies and gentlemen, that would be the Buffalo Bills. Thank you very much. That defense has been great for me. It's awesome. Yeah.
They have been very impressive. I actually have them in 4 of my leagues, and they were kind of like my backup if I couldn't get the New England Patriots. And so I ended up with Buffalo on nearly every team I have. And yeah, they have been outstanding, just a top-notch defense. And just a tremendous value, too, because they were always available at the very end of the draft. 15th round, you could have gotten them, or even off the waivers, So
I drafted them, but there were some of the big-name defenses, Baltimore's, Pittsburgh's, were still sitting there when I took Buffalo because I'd been listening to all the training camp reports, and people were going on about Buffalo. I said, I'm going to take a chance there, and that paid off.
And Buffalo also had an amazing early season schedule, which made it super easy for me to say, yes, we need to take a chance on this team. But yeah, they've been great. My MVP for defense is New England Patriots.
Yeah, they're good too.
They are just far and away. I mean, they've scored like 50 more fantasy points than the next closest defense. So there's just such a tremendous positional advantage to everyone that took them. And in my one league, where I had Lamar Jackson and I was just doing fantastic. I drafted the New England Patriots, and then their week 1 matchup against Pittsburgh, I freaked out, so I dropped them for Buffalo. And had I just kept them, I would have been the number 1 team in the league. Easy, easy. It would have been. I mean, just that defense scoring 20 points a week just makes a huge difference over any other defense in the league this year. So they're definitely my MVP. And then I give honorable mentions. I got to give it to Pittsburgh, they started slow, but damn, that defense is top notch. San Francisco's defense and Buffalo, of course. Yeah. So those are all my honorable mentions for the defense this year. So
I like it, man. I like it. Now, regardless of the fact that we're working on a championship week, we need to talk about the fantasy playoff challenge on your site there, because if because your season may have petered out, doesn't mean you have to stop playing, right?
That's right, man. Yeah. Fantasy season is not over yet. We've got a little fantasy frenzy league going. Just Google the NFL playoff challenge. It's hosted through NFL.com. You have to create an account to join the league on NFL.com. It's a free account. And then just search for Fantasy Frenzy, and you can join our league. We're playing for
Fantasy Frenzy, all one word,
Amazon
right?
gift card. What's that?
Of one word, Fantasy Frenzy. It's not 2 words I'm reading.
Yeah, it's just
right?
one word.
Okay.
Fantasy
Got
Frenzy,
it.
one word. And basically, it's for the NFL playoffs. It starts, the first week in January with the wild card round, continues through the Super Bowl. It is a standard points league. You got to draft. You don't draft. You pick a quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, and a defense. No flex. And it's basically a race to the finish. You're trying to score the most points you can over those 4 weeks. And the big thing is that there is you get a bonus every time you use the same player in subsequent weeks. So if you use a player for 2 consecutive weeks, you get double points on the second week. If you use them for 3 consecutive weeks, you get triple points on the 3rd consecutive week. And if you use them for all 4 weeks of the thing, you get quadruple points on the Super Bowl on that player.
So basically, you're drafting the entire Ravens team.
Well, if you think it's going to be the Ravens, But yeah, I mean, and one of the things they say is that you can slot the bye week players in that first week of the playoffs, because if you think because obviously Lamar Jackson, he's going to have the first week bye, right?
Sure.
So you slot him in week 1, he gets you 0 points, but then he'll get you double points in week 2, triple points in week 3, and quadruple points if he makes it to the Super Bowl. So that's huge, right? That's tremendous. So anyway, it should be fun. It'll be a good time. We've already got a small group of people in there. We want to get more. So go over there today. And
so I'm not allowed then? Because you need smart people, so I'm not allowed? No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding, man.
Everybody's welcome. Everybody's welcome to play fantasy football. So, yeah, it's just going to be a fun thing to do during the NFL playoffs. Keep you involved and keep you, keep that little fantasy itch from getting scratched. So,
all right. So that's NFL.com and search group Fantasy Frenzy, all one word, right?
Well, yeah, but again, just Google the NFL Playoff Challenge. That's what you want to Google, and go to that site, and then you can create an account there if you don't already have one, and then join the league, and that's where you would search for Fantasy Frenzy. So,
all right, cool, man. I'll try to get in on that.
Yeah. So it'll be a good time, we can like next week. I think what I'm going to do is we're going to talk strategy. What players and matchups and stuff like that, because of the after week 17, everything will be all set up for the playoffs. So,
right.
Okay. So there we go, man. So another fantasy season. I got to say, man, it just goes so fast. I'm just kind of bummed out that it's like I'll kind of over after this week or next week, You know what,
though, man? It's been my experience that before you even blink an eye, you've already getting emails from league commissioners for the draft. It goes by fast. So,
yes. And we've got 8 months to prepare for the next fantasy draft. So I'm excited about that. I love the off-season stuff, man. I mean, it's just fun doing all that analysis for me anyway.
Yeah.
I enjoy it and looking at, what new people are coming into the league and how that impacts the teams and coaching changes and all that good stuff. So, so that's all coming up as well. So everybody, that's watching this, man, good luck in your championship game, man. I hope it goes well. I hope it goes your way. I hope you get a big payday for Christmas. That's the best part. It's all done just in time for a Christmas bonus, right?
That's what I'm talking about. Good luck, man.
Yeah, good luck. So good luck out there, everybody, and we'll talk to you next week.